Yo, what's up, what's up? This is Too Short. I'm here at HotNewHipHop, and this is Trust the Process. Well, the first record that really impacted my career was Freakytails. That really just, went everywhere. And that was the first album I had that's when I signed to Jive Records. I did a lot of stuff before that, but that was the first time it went nationwide. And no radio play, no visual, no video, and not even a push. And it just was one of those underground songs that just went from market to market. But the really, really biggest impactful record I had from the start was Life is Too Short. The first video I did, it got a lot of spins. The record got a lot of radio play, and that pretty much launched my career. I had been going to the studio since 1985. Prior to that, I had developed a pretty decent quality technique of how to record at my house with DJ equipment, just by running the microphone through an effects machine, the effects machine to the mixer, the music we coming from a turntable or a cassette player or something, and we run into another cassette. It was all about the levels and stuff, and using quality cassettes to record with, and it was good. But when I got in the studio, I had a sense of, this is supposed to sound good. It's not supposed to be any kind of low quality. And I was fortunate enough the first time I ever got in the studio to work with professional musicians. The very first time I ever got in the studio, I was surrounded by guys who had been making albums for big name artists and knew the structure of recording songs and all this stuff. So they didn't know anything about hip hop, but I was learning the recording process, and at the same time, it wasn't easy, but I was explaining to them, but that's not hip hop, that's not hip hop. And I had enough knowledge to, and just enough, nerve to stand up to him and go, no, it's gotta be like this. Make the bass drum louder than everything else. Push the bass line up louder. They're like, no, you don't do it like that. I'm like, hip hop. So we found a good medium, and I really learned over, those early years, 85, 86, how to record. So then when I really stepped out from the shadows and really started calling shots in sessions, it was all about songs like Freakytails, where you only got maybe, even with the vocal, you probably got 7, 8 tracks total. This is kick, drum, snare, clap, bass, keyboard, bass, maybe another random ass keyboard part, maybe, and the vocals. Shake That Monkey. We recorded it in Miami, and we were working on one of my albums. I can't remember which album it was, but Lil Jon was doing some songs on the album, and he gave me that track. So the way it would work, I would either sit in the studio and write, or I'd take the track to the hotel and write. This particular one, I went to the hotel, wrote the song, came back the next day, recorded the song, and he immediately goes, nah, that's not the idea I had for that. And I'm like, okay, what's the idea? So he goes in the booth, we totally stripped down all my vocals. He goes in and does what we know as the Shake That Monkey hook. And when Lil Jon does things like that, he literally stacks some of his tracks. Like it could be one thing he's saying, and he literally stacks it like maybe 40, 50 times. And then he like condenses it to this crowd sounding, screaming chant, and it's like a lot of Lil Jon's screaming and whatever, and it's just the energy it's just in there. So he gives me the hook, and I get it. I trust guys like that in the studio. So it's like doing homework. Like he, at the moment he readjusted everything that was in my mind. I don't even know what song I could have been singing, what lyrics that were. I don't throw away lyrics, so it have to end up being some other song later on. I don't know what, but I went back and I wrote the lyrics to Shake That Monkey, vibing on his hook. And here we have a hot record that lasts a long, long time. Well, Jay, and one thing we did, early on, I did a song with Jay. He wanted a Scarface on the song. It was, I think it was like Jay's second album, maybe. And he wanted Scarface on it. I can't remember why Scarface didn't do it. I don't know what happened, because I remember the first version I got, he he says in the song, he says something short, something, but the first version I got said face. And I guess that didn't happen, so I did the song, and it was cool. You know, we weren't in the same session when I did that. But the next time we did It Was All Good just a week ago, and I don't know what he was hearing or what he, like when he was in the session, but he was adamant, I need Too Short's voice to say this part right here. So the part that I said, he brought me to the session, you know, and he told me what to say, like say these words right here. And basically, you know, it was one of those things where, you know, you don't really necessarily have to, like he could have told me it's a blank space right here, write something for there, but it wasn't that situation. He was like, say these words. So what I say on that song was definitely, you know, that's what Jay wanted. Well, me and E40, the first time we made a song was back in the mid-90s when I first moved to Atlanta, and there was all this stuff going on in the Bay with the Loonies and KMEL, the radio station, and this song they had called Player Hater, where they said something really foul about me. And then they had the big Summer Jam show, and you know, the legend says that Too Short came up there with a pack of guys and just terrorized the whole concert and shut it down and all this shit. And basically, because of me, E40 didn't get an opportunity. That he had built a special stage set, and it was, you know, the biggest show of the year for the hometown, for, you know, the home area, and it, you know, it was the Summer Jam. And he didn't, and they shut the show down. The last two acts didn't get to perform. The reason why, according to the station, was because I was going around with a pack of guys telling the people at the station, if I don't get to perform, nobody can perform, which never happened. But, you know, it was another thing that was going on. I really did have a pack of guys, and I really was demanding things from the station. I was telling them that because they were playing this record that the Loonies made, Player Hater, I was saying, between me and the Loonies, we know where we stand. We know there ain't, you know, part of the reason why they were even in the game was because of me. You know, the guy who put them in the game was one of my homies who got the game from me. So we were all like a family. And it was like sort of like the line in the song was equivalent of a family fight. Yeah. It wasn't nothing that would turn into a fight. It was nothing that was anger, you know, like like it was none of that. And I needed the Bay to know this. I wanted the Bay Area it was no social media, so it was just all word of mouth. And the word of mouth was like Loonies and Too Short beefing, like it's blah, blah, blah. They wanted it the same way people are hungry for that right now. So I wanted to step in front of the whole crowd, the biggest crowd of the year, and tell everybody while we stand next to each other, it ain't nothing but love between us, ain't no beef. And the station wouldn't do it. So I think the Loonies manager got beat up that day, and other stuff happened, but it wasn't I wanted to perform, so I'm shutting it down. Maybe our presence got them a little nervous and they shut it down. I don't know, but they followed that with a early morning fake phone call on the radio station from a fake Too Short who was talking shit about E40 and talking shit about like the fake Too Short was calling to like back up everything they said. Yeah, that's why I come through. I don't give a fuck if you eat 1,000, blah, 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 all this shit. Like, it was some crazy shit. And E40 called me early in the morning, because it was a morning show, and he's like, asking me like, man, you just called the radio station? I'm getting up out of my sleep, like, nah, bro, I didn't. He's like, you really didn't? Like, he told me what happened. He's like, that really wasn't you? I'm like, no, it wasn't me. So we did our little due diligence and whatever, and you know, the day went by, and we the next time we circled back, it was like it was a very negative situation because E40 has a crew, and they ain't no punks. They like, it's a big family, it's a lot of them, and we really, outside of music, had always been friends. Like all the way to some street shit, people in E40's crew and people in my crew were connected in the streets, and we were always an extended family. So instead of breaking up the family and letting a radio station start a feud between us, we just squashed it before it even started, and we went in the studio. We made a song called Rapper's Ball. And you know, back then a lot of artists didn't collaborate with other artists they were friends with. You didn't, just because you were friends, you didn't say, let's do a record together. You know, you just had your own production team, your own studio, your own deal, and we just hung out together. So we made the song, and it was a very interesting session. The session was, you know, both our crews, Wild and Drunk, and KC from Jodeci did the hook, and it was a wild session. It was very, very memorable. That was the beginning of many, many, many songs with me and E40. We even did an album together, a double album. So I can't tell you how many songs we've done together, but you know, I go up to his house, and I like to work at his house because he's pretty isolated in the, you know, way up the hill. And we go in there, nobody bothers you, and we sitting there, and we just make a lot of songs, drop a lot of verses, a lot of hooks, and I'm sure if E40 just went through his computer, his hard drives, he's probably got an album worth of material in there of me and him.